Hola, hola. Hello to the 4 people already here. Have I got everything set up? Yes, I do. Welcome, guys. Okay, so I'm going to wait for a couple more people to jump in on the room before I get started. But I'm actually going to take this up a little bit first thing because it's a bit too low, isn't it? That's better. Hi, hi, hi. What up, what up, what up? Okay, so where are we all at? Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I've gone through, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've gone through a few of my previous lives, and I've actually started deleting them. Don't be mad at me because I will refilm some real-time workouts for you guys, but when I look back on them, just in comparison to some of the other video quality, because it's a live, the video quality, it just really irritates me when it's shitty compared to the quality of my other workouts that are on there. So don't hate me. It just means that you have to be there for the live if you want to access it. Otherwise it's going to disappear. So I'll leave it on there for, an hour or two, but then it's gone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm seeing you guys come into the space. Okay. So now that I've got a few of you here, I want to tell you, can't be perfect all the time. No, I know that. I know. But I want you guys to come back to these workouts and be able to utilize them. And I think that it's just so much more. Here's something that I will say is that you have to be, hi Graciela, is that you have to take pride in the things that are important to you. And I'm not talking about pride in and of itself or as a characteristic, but I think that you have to, hola, buenos dias, you have to take pride in things that you value. And I think that for me, I certainly value exercise, so I take pride in the content that I create for you guys because I want you to watch it and feel like it's an enjoyable thing to watch. And the more you enjoy it, the more you enjoy looking at it, utilizing it. Personally, I think the more you're gonna do it, right? Bonjour, Sophie. Ça va? So yes, I totally agree with what you're saying. Perfection is something that can mess with our heads a little bit too much, but I do want you guys to really want to use the content. So yes, please keep them coming as I've repeated some of your lives already. Yes, the workouts are amazing. I know they are, so I'll film them. I'm just gonna film them again in real time so you have better quality, and I also prefer it when there's 2 angles so that you can see some of the things that I'm doing. I think that this one angle is just irritating me a bit for really being able to use workouts. So don't worry, never fear. I promise that you will have a massive, massive resource through which you can access. Okay, cool. So what I wanted to say today, we're going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to ask for your attention. And I just don't want you to be mad at me because this is all for the best in the long run. Okay, so normally, I know you're all here because you're like, cool, we're gonna do a bodyweight workout today. And you can totally do that because there are plenty on my channel, okay? There are plenty on my channel and they're filmed better. What I actually want from you guys today, and I really am asking a favor, is I want you to pay close attention to the form cues that I give you. And what we're gonna do is unpack the squat, the push-up, the row, and the lunge. And I'm going to unpack a few key things that you need to understand, because when I do a workout in real time, I don't have time to get it across to you. And today I was doing a little bit of research on YouTube and I was just looking at some different things that I saw on there, and a lot of the time you have real-time workouts where no one's actually explaining how to do the exercise. They're just kind of moving and you're expected to copy it. There are things where someone might explain how to do the exercise, but then they do the real-time workout and there's no cues and you're expected to remember it. So I wanted to use this whole live element for us to really unpack some of the questions. And look, when I put on my Instagram today some information, I basically asked you guys for things that you're most confused about. I mean, I can't believe the inundation of questions, and it's literally all around the same exercises. It's the squat, it's the lunge, it's the push-up, which seems to be the most frustrating upper body exercise for everyone. Don't worry, I get it. And then some kind of row. Most of you were saying like the bent over row that you can't quite feel in your back, and you're sort of like, you feel it everywhere but, or you feel it up here. So I just want to unpack these today, and then I want you to really stay as focused as you possibly can. Ask me questions, interact. That's the whole point of doing this live. And then go and use one of my other workouts that are on my channel. Pick something that kind of tickles your fancy today. That was a weird expression to use. Anyway, something that really attracts you, that you want to do for your present mood and your current energy levels. And then you can utilize what you've just learned fresh in this time that we spent together. Okay? So look, just so that I stay so strict with time, I'm going to set a timer. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. And for anyone that's like, oh, I don't know if I have time for this, I might go quickly look at. No, you're staying right here with me, and we're going to unpack the shit out of these important exercises, okay? Because you will find them not just in my workouts, but in everyone's workouts, okay? There is a common thread, and it's usually a squat, a lunge, a push, and a pull, and some kind of rotation. So let's just take the time to really build on the foundation of how to execute these, okay? It's not often that I get to actually do this, because for the most part, I'm filming exercise videos where I have to be super quick, okay? Hip thrust. All right, promise that I will unpack that too, okay? We'll add that to the list. Here we go. Just so that you guys trust me, 15 minutes and 30 seconds, okay? I'm gonna fit it into that. I've given myself an extra 30, because you know me. All right, this is gonna go off, and I have to stop as soon as this is done. Alrighty? Fuck, I hope I can do this. This is a challenge for me. Squat. Let us unpack the squat. Obviously, 15 minutes is for me to explain all these, and then you guys can ask your questions afterwards, okay? So I'll leave time for that for sure. The squat. You need to take your preferred stance for the squat, okay? So people have different hip sizes or pelvis sizes, but also the socket, the ball and socket joint that you have. Some people have deeper sockets, some people have shallower sockets. If you have a shallower socket, it means that you actually tend to be more flexible. So I probably have a pretty shallow socket. I don't know, but I can go very, very deep into my squat. That could also be gymnastics mobility from a long time ago. But other people who have long femurs, they tend to have deeper sockets. And so when they come down into this position, they feel like that sort of bone on bone sensation, and it's not comfortable. And no matter what you do, you're never going to be able to really fix that. The only way that you can modify certain things is you can turn your toes out more, yeah? And that facilitates a little bit of a deeper squat. You can turn if you don't feel it in your glutes very much, if you turn your feet forward, have them parallel, and then think about externally rotating the femur, the thigh bone, out, so your knees press out, keeping that pressure as you come down. Oh, I'm telling you now, you'll feel your glutes so much more in a squat than you feel your quads, okay? So that cue is feet parallel, okay? So the outer edges of your feet are straight rather than turning them out. You turn them out if you have trouble with depth. Now, moving further up the body, we want to make sure that as we sit into the squat, we bend the knees and we flex at the hips. Your knees can go past your toes. This is 100% okay. Yes, this happens as a human. When we run, our knees go beyond our toes. Your knees need to be able to do that without you experiencing pain. If they can't, your human movement is compromised, okay? So that old rule, just put it away, it's BS, okay? What we do need to make sure of is that we don't have any knee valgus. So we want to minimize this. Yeah, so we want to make sure that we're really driving the feet into the ground, externally rotating the femur, and making sure that the knees track over the toes. Not this, yeah? Definitely not that, okay? And the same goes for lunges, and we'll go over that when we do our lunge section. Moving further up, I want you to think about the ribs down. Now, In any movement, whether it's a squat, a push-up, anything, we want to feel like we're zipping up from the pubic bone up to the sternum. So a good way to think about it is sort of like, I know guys commonly cue to other guys like dick to face. Like that's not the cueing that I tend to use. I tend to use like erect pubic bone or pubic bone to face or pubic bone to sternum. You can also think of a zip. So we want to sort of do up the zip at the front of the body, imaginary zip. And we want to maintain that zip as we start to sit back. So have a look. Here's when I lose my zip. Here's when I maintain it. Yeah, can you see that? So this is what we want to make sure of. Now, moving further up, this means that your core is engaged the whole way through the squat. This is super important. You want to take a breath in when you squat. That braces your core. So we take the breath in. Exhale as you come up. Okay? Squeezing your glute and pushing your hips forward. The shoulders remain relaxed, the jaw remains relaxed. There's tension throughout the body, but we're not like this. Okay? Got it. If you have any questions, save them to the end. I'm going to move on to the push-up because that's going to take me a little bit of time. So, actually I need that. Have a look at the position that a push-up is supposed to be in. Yeah? When I take the push-up, and let's say I'm taking a raised platform push-up, I need to make sure that I'm essentially in the same position as if I was doing a hollow body position on the floor. I don't know if you can see me, but let's say I was in a hollow body position on the floor. That's what we want. I wouldn't be in a hollow body position like this, would I? Oh God, that feels awful on my back. So don't do it in the push-up, okay? So we want to think about squeezing the glute. Again, same thing. Zip up the front. Pubic bone to sternum or dick to face, dick to chin. Whatever you need to remember that. I just want you to think about sealing it up. Okay? Now that holds tight the whole way through the push-up. There are too many push-ups on Instagram executed like this. Yeah? Or like this. And often by like fitness influencers too, which is disappointing to say the least. So let's not do that. We want to have a hollow body position so it works your core. The tricky part is that a lot, and I'm generalizing, don't sue me, you guys know that I am a feminist, I'm on our team. But commonly, women struggle with the strength to do push-ups because, guess what? We naturally have less muscle mass in our upper body unless we've done specific training to change that. Okay, but naturally, women don't have as much muscle mass as men. Anywhere, but especially through the upper body. So that means when we come to push-ups, we're trying to scramble to get strength to actually execute it through the upper body. This is why I often say to women, if you're struggling with push-ups, don't just kind of like struggle your way through it. Instead, do your hollow body holds, do your plank holds from this position. Yeah, so work on holding or work on, slow eccentrics, and don't worry about the concentric. Don't worry about pushing back up. Yeah, and instead, work on strengthening your chest and your upper body with dumbbell presses, with skull crushers, yeah? Working your triceps. Various things with overhead presses as well, yeah? With things that are going to strengthen and increase the muscle mass on your arms and increase the strength of your upper body, which will then hopefully translate, and yes, not hopefully, it will, translate into your ability to then come back to the push-up and execute it properly. The other thing I want you to stop doing, two more things about the push-up. If I really feel like I'm gonna run out of time. We're good, we're on time. The other thing I want you to think about, two things. Stop doing those things that some male misogynist decided to name as the female push-up or girl push-ups, okay? Don't do these anymore. Instead, raise your hands. So we do it like this. We even can do it like this, yeah? Where we make it really a lot easier. You can put your hands on the edge of a chair or a table, but stop dropping your knees. I need you to find strength through that core and then really work on loading up your arms with the core loaded. As soon as you put your knees on the floor, everything becomes light and too easy. And you stop feeling that sensation of the zip up. The other thing I wanted to say about your push-ups is that one of the key reasons that we encourage that you train scapular awareness and scapular retraction and depression strength is because if you don't have the awareness to pull the shoulder blades down when you take a press up, you're going to be doing your press ups like this. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm sure you can, but can you see what I'm doing? So the upper part of your trap, if it's used to firing a lot, it will naturally fire when you do the push-up, and maybe a little bit of your shoulder and your upper trap. So when you get into this position, you start to get tired, your body's like, this is the only muscle I really have, and it's where your mind first goes to, yeah, where your neurological connection first goes to. So when you go to push, yeah, you start doing this sort of stuff, okay, pushing with the upper trap, because you don't have either the strength or the awareness or both to retract and depress the shoulders and use your chest or use your triceps, okay, which is what happens when you retract the shoulder blades and you start doing your push-ups like this, okay, as opposed to this. See that? See the difference? This is why we work our backs. And when women write to me saying, I don't understand why my shoulders are rounded and I'm really struggling with posture, even when I try and stand up straight, my shoulders are rounding, it's because you haven't been training this retraction enough. Okay, so we are going to go over that one. Let's talk about lunges and lunge variations. So, you guys have heard me talk about knee dominant movements versus hip dominant movements. A hip dominant movement means that the moment, I'm not going to talk about biomechanics today. We will talk about biomechanics, but I'll probably put it in another bigger, longer tutorial. But basically what we want to think about is if the angle of your knee changes more than the angle of your hip, it becomes a knee dominant movement. So see the difference? A deadlift is a hip dominant movement because it's more flexion and then extension through the hip. With my knees, it's more flexion and extension through the knee. Sure, there's still a little bit of hip flexion and extension, but not as much as there is in the knee. When someone has a knee issue or knee problems, we tend to move away from these knee dominant exercises and instead we think about hip dominant exercises. This is key. So you can change how you want to execute your lunges and make something either hip dominant or knee dominant. Now, a lunge is typically classified as a knee dominant exercise, but there are ways to sort of get around that. But for the most part, it sits in that category, even when you try to shift it slightly. Now, if I go into a step back lunge like this, what do you think that is? That's knee dominant, yeah? My knee's traveling quite far forward. There's a lot of flexion through it, probably more so than there is in my hip. So that's gonna be very quad dominant. That's gonna really work my quads. I'm still gonna hit a little bit of glute, but mostly quad. When I keep my shin vertical, rather than letting it travel forward like that, then look what happens. I'll show you on this side. Look at that. More flexion than my knee. So suddenly, the lunge has become more hip dominant. It's become more about my glute, more about my hamstring to get me out of that position. Doesn't mean that one is better than the other, just means that you should try to keep both of them, okay? So that's something that's super key to understand. There are so many different lunge variations that you can do. This is a split squat. Well, it looks like a lunge, but it's a split squat. Again, lots of knee flexion, okay? So knee dominant. You can also do a split squat where you stay static and instead the back knee bends more, so the front hip ends up becoming more flexed, which makes it hip dominant. Make sense? When you take a Cossack squat, for example, which isn't really a lunge, but a lot of people call this like a lateral lunge that looks like this. Notice there's probably more movement through my hip than there is through my knee, even though my knee's still bending. If I go into a Cossack squat, however, well, it ends up being both hip dominant and knee dominant, which is why it's in the Virtue Method fitness program, even though I know a lot of you hate it, but it's a great exercise. Anyway, so that's the lunge. Oh my God, we are on track. I have 1 minute, 56 seconds to unpack this bad boy. Okay, the bent over row or the single arm row. So here's the key thing. What I see most people do wrong is they go like this. It's the same with the push-up. See my arm? So it's dipping forward like this. And what am I working when I do this? Can you see what's firing when I do this? My upper trap. Okay? So what I want to do is pull the shoulder blade down and back, and then think about working through here, the base of my shoulder blade. I want it to go backwards. So it's hard to actually demonstrate this way. If I could move my camera, I would. But I want to think about, okay, now it's off the back. I'm going to retract it so that it becomes on the back of my rib, and then I'm going to pull back. And I'm only going to go this far. I'm not going to go there. So pull to here. A good cue for that is just to not go past your body with the bent over row like that, or the single arm row. The reason I like a single arm row is because it trains your core for anti-rotation, but it also means that you can have enough concentration to think, okay, one arm at a time. Retract, release, or protract, retract, and pull, okay? Holy shit, guys, I did it. Oh, I didn't do the hip thrust. I didn't fit the hip thrust in there. So why don't you guys ask me? I've got 30 seconds left. Can't believe it. So hit me with your questions, guys. Hip thrust. Okay, well, I'm gonna need to go over my time. Okay, do you guys agree? You okay with that? Can I go over my time? I'm gonna go over my time. So let me do the hip thrust, and I will do it very quickly, so don't worry. There's a couple of options with the hip thrust in the same way that there are options with the squat. So same thing, your foot positioning will determine, guys, if I'm missing out on questions that you've typed, because it's hard to scroll on the YouTube variation of lives, so just get ready to type it again for me, and just hold up a sec. So if I take my feet and turn them out, with that external rotation, sometimes I can feel my glutes more, or certain people will feel their glutes more. Same thing, certain people might feel their glutes more if they keep their feet closer together and toes parallel. Here's where this is where mobility plays a huge part, okay? And this is why I harp on and on about requiring both if you really want to create a healthy functioning body or strengthen your booty, create a good booty, a booty that you want, that is whatever, aesthetically pleasing. So, and functional. So, ribs down, we lift up, hips are up. Now, if you come into this position now, you can play around with an anterior pelvic tilt. Remember, anterior being the front of the body. You can think of it in terms of like antennas, they sit on the front. Yeah? Posterior, post, behind you, okay? Put that shit behind you. Posterior. So we think about pelvic tilt in terms of the front of the hip, whether it's tipping forward or backwards, okay? So if I go like this and I'm in a big back arch, this is an anterior pelvic tilt. Now, when I do this, my erectors on my back, these back muscles, are absolutely on fire, okay? Because the glutes, they're not working as hard as they should. As soon as I lengthen my lower spine, pull my pubic bone up towards the ceiling, and posterior pelvic tilt, so go backwards, oh baby, oh mama, I get lots of glute, yeah? I get more core, and I get much less lower back. It's still on, but it's much less activation. There's more activation in the glutes, okay? That is probably the number one thing that you need to understand in terms of hip thrusts, okay? You're pressing, if you play around with your foot positioning as well, taking the feet further forward will make it more hamstring. And we'll just make it more posterior. So for those of you that are sort of like, I only feel hip thrusts in my quads, just start taking your feet further forward. Don't worry if you can't feel it in your glutes yet. You will feel it in your glutes soon, yeah? So take your feet further forward and get it into your hamstrings. The number one priority, I personally think, for your hip thrusts is to make sure that you're feeling it through the posterior chain. Posterior being the back of you. Don't worry too much whether you're sort of like, well, if I move my feet too far forward, I get all hamstring. It's like, that's better than getting quad for this particular exercise, okay? Cool. Yes, because I'm going to make it again, Roxanne. Don't worry. I promise I'm going to bring it all back. I just don't like the quality of it. And I gave a spiel at the beginning of this video about why I need, like, it's just irritating me. I'm like, I can't handle this, like, shittiness on my channel. So, do you guys have any questions? Feel free to throw them through. I'm going to sit here with you guys and we're going to unpack this. And I'm going to give you 5 mins. Because I want you to actually still get a workout in today. I just wanted to make sure that I could, I guess, unpack this in a very useful way. It's been really kind of on my mind for a while. You guys know that, like, I'm so about quality over quantity, and it's been 7 days, I think, since I started these lives. So I just really, really, really wanted to do this. Okay, so I'm going to set this. Thanks so much for giving me the patience to do this, your attention. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm losing these things. This is so annoying. I miss these. It's so irritating to like not see, because when I'm on my phone, I can't see the comments. Okay, can you give a good kettlebell exercise to do to get good for push-ups? I really struggle with this. Okay, a good kettlebell exercise. I can't with my kettlebells because they are 20 kilos. So that is a bit tricky, and I only have one here at the moment, okay? But something I can show, you know, a press you can do with kettlebells if you have light enough kettlebells. And even if you only have one, you just hold it as you would for if you were resting it here. It just rests right here. Like the bell rests here and you hold on the inside. You're gonna lie on the floor and you're gonna press it up like so. Same thing you would do with a dumbbell, okay? But I wonder if I could do it with my 20 kilo. Challenger, are you ready? Oh, it's in the corner. Good one, Shona. I don't think I can do it. No, I'm not even gonna try. What am I thinking? No, I haven't done 20 kg dumbbells in a long time, so no. Another option is, of course, to hold it at the bell and press it up, but you have to have very good shoulder blade retraction ability, okay? To pull down and then push away, okay? So that is something that you can absolutely do with the kettlebell, but also just be really careful you don't drop it on your face. I always get really nervous when people aren't holding it, like they're holding it over their face and their thumbs aren't kind of like holding onto the bell, the handle part. When I'm in the downward dog position and I want to put one leg to my hands, I can never reach the hands because I think, oh, why did that question disappear? Because I think they're too short. Any tips on how to improve that? Yes, so this was something that I talked about the other day, which was basically about core strength. But one of the ways that you can strengthen that ability is actually just putting your hands on a chair and working through holds like this. But that position in yoga, where you swing your leg forward and place it in between your hands, requires 2 things, maybe three. It requires strength in your arms at a protracted position. So it's a lot of what's called serratus anterior, to be able to push the shoulder blades off the back and have a lot of strength. And that creates more space. So being able to go into a kyphotic position and hold yourself here. If you're in this sort of saggy position, look at how much harder it is for me if I go like this and then I try to bring my knee up. See? I can't, there's no way I can get my knee up. If I push away and I round through my upper spine, I can actually bring my knee up. Okay, so it's a lot of upper body strength too, and not a lot, but it's just awareness. The second thing that you need to have is good hip flexion. For that, you need to be strong in your mobility practices. You need to be open through the hip flexors. You also need to have strength in your hip flexors. And that's brings me to my last point, is that you need to have strength in your hip flexors, okay? And that's a lot of core strength. So again, understanding this posterior pelvic tilt and being able to go from that down dog position and then really curl up, really hug the knee in towards the chest and then extend. It requires this and then this ability, okay? So you can practice it by doing what I just did on the chair. You can also practice it with exercises like this, and this is often in yoga classes, but it's freaking boring. But if you want to be able to do it, that's the way to improve, okay? Cool, just let me get my questions back. I know I'm missing a lot of these. Okay, so given the need for ab zip up so much, how can I strengthen that specific area? I struggle to maintain it throughout squat sequence. Okay, so you train it through doing squats and executing them correctly. You also train it through things like hollow body holds. The programming that I do in the Virtue Method or in the mobility program is about trying to make you better at those sorts of things, at those human movements. Like that is why we need to implement progressive overload. It's another reason that I get so funny about like sharing. I do still share workouts on my YouTube, on my Instagram channel and my YouTube channel, but I really want you guys to focus on trying to program and trying to keep track of your progress so that you can say, okay, I am progressing in this movement and I can add more weight, or this has become easy, so how do we make it harder? So you need to be thinking in those sorts of terms if you want to improve in things, yeah? Okay, cool. We got any other questions? Wait. We do, but this just doesn't let me look at them. This is so annoying. So much easier on Instagram, this whole like question answer thing. So I'm sorry that I can't see them. Okay, so what are we up to? I got 29 seconds anyway. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question. Send it to me on my Instagram channel. I keep saying the wrong thing. On my Instagram page. Why do I get cramps so often? Rodney, that's really hard to answer. It can be several reasons. It can be dehydration, can be like overactivation of a certain area of your muscle tissue because other areas aren't activating enough to support it, so you get this kind of cramping sensation. There can be so many reasons for cramps. They're so frustrating. I totally get it. Why you really want to know, but it's never one thing. Is it normal to lose balance when doing lunges? I would say it's not normal, but I would say it's common. So don't beat yourself up about it, but definitely work towards changing that. A number of things that it can come from are a lack of, I won't delete this video, don't worry, are a lack of ankle stability. So training barefoot can help this. Women, I actually didn't see the name of who sent that question in, but women experiencing the menstrual cycle we tend to be a little bit more imbalanced when we're menstruating. So sometimes when you have your period, you might struggle with balance when you're doing lunges and not realize that it's because of that. And sometimes it can be poor hip stability. Yeah, so it depends on where it's shaking when you do the lunge. If it's that your knee's kind of going all over the place from your hip, then that's what it is. Or if you feel like your pelvis is moving about, then that'll be more hip stability. If you feel like your foot and ankle kind of roll in and that impacts your knee, then obviously that's more an ankle foot stability thing. So you just need to figure out where it's coming from and then try to rectify it. So sorry, back to what I was saying. Yes, Instagram. So on my Instagram page in my stories, I put a little question box. So feel free to add a question to that if you want me to unpack a certain exercise or posture or go over anything more specifically. What I'm going to do is make really specific tutorials that I'm going to leave on my Instagram TV. Okay, so you'll be able to access them. So I'll do one for the push-up variations. I'll do one for, sometimes it can be magnesium. That's a really good point, Mike. I'll do another one. That doesn't mean you should necessarily go and supplement magnesium. So I just want to be really careful about suggesting supplements. But yes, that can sometimes be the case. I think Mike said eat a banana, which would be higher in potassium, if my memory does not fail me. And I will be doing more full real-time videos here on YouTube. And this has just come off the back of the feedback that you guys have given me. I'll be releasing a new schedule, which just accommodates for more classes across different time zones. I'm introducing a gymnastics drills session, so we'll do that together. But yes, I'm going to be doing 10 a.m. sessions Sydney time, which is 7 p.m. New York time. Or I think it's GMT -4. So those are going to be, anyway, it's going to be on my Instagram post. So go check that out either now or in the next few days. And what I would love, 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 love for you guys to do right now is to go and find a workout on my page. Go hit it up, whatever you're feeling, whether it's a full body workout, whether it's a weighted workout, whether it's just a quickie, whether it's an ab workout, and go and try to apply everything that I just gave you today in this tutorial with a real-time workout, okay? Yes, Laura, gymnastics drills. I know, I'm excited. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining today, guys, and I hope you got a lot out of that. All right, see ya.